Thanks for turning in. Turn the key.
It just gets better and better.
All right, guys, how's everything going today? As you can see, I got my sister sitting here beside me. I've mentioned in previous videos about teaching her how to ride and that she was taking an MSF course and that she successfully passed it. So, Jennifer, I know 46, you never were riding before or anything. I know I bought some motorcycles and said something to you about, hey, if I buy a smaller motorcycle, would you entertain getting your permit and riding here or there? You know, with my thought being that Dad would ride the smaller bike and you ride the smaller bike too, to get the most value out of having two mini bikes. So, you know, you said, okay, came over, taught you how to ride, went and got your permit, and it kind of turned into more than one weekend here or there, didn't it?
Yes, a lot more. Every weekend for the most part. We've been riding, and even day 2 on the weekend, we've been riding. I think for me, I needed change in my life. Needed to feel again, needed to feel alive, wanting something different, and then never in my life thinking I would be the one actually driving the bike versus being the passenger of the bike. So that's kind of what changed everything. And then going to a class one time for work, there happened to be a woman that said what she does over the weekends is ride her Harley. So then when you had asked, she had said that, and I'm thinking, you know, here she is, a woman, because typically you would think, no, I can't do this. I'm small, don't weigh much either. And again, I'm a woman, so, but it was something new that turned into something that made me feel more alive, so to speak, lit a spark in me that I didn't even know was there. And it's turned into a lifeline, and it's never been the same ever since, because it's one thing I look forward to.
So your friend, is she the same age as you, or is she a younger woman, or?
She was a course instructor around my age. I want to say older, because she was closer to retirement and about ready to upgrade her Harley to an even bigger Harley.
Okay, so seeing somebody that you're already, you know, like a peer, pretty much somebody the same age doing something, kind of lets you know it's possible.
Yes,
and
it's
then the opportunity
possible.
just presented itself with the mini bike and everything. So
right, because had you not had the bike or asked me to ride with you, it's not something that I would have started on my own out of nowhere, like, hey, let me go learn how to ride a bike and get my license. And
yeah, you have always been the more sane one when it comes to
sane, reserved, locked away,
making wild decisions. That was always my forte. So were you nervous learning, or?
Absolutely.
What was the scariest part about it for you when you came over? So I had one mini bike already, right?
Right.
That I had you sit on.
Right.
And the green bike, the Papio SS. What did you think of the Papio SS, the green one?
Immediately when I sat on that bike, I felt very intimidated. It wasn't for me. The handlebars are more on that forward lean, as you said before, aggressive position. So I never felt comfortable to take that first step to put that bike in gear and go.
Right. So then, me being always on the internet, always looking for motorcycles, deals, just what bike's next, you know, I happened to find a dealership in Tennessee that had a good deal on another mini bike. That's where I asked if you know, hey, if I got this, will you want to ride?
Yes, and then you sent me the picture, and I'm like, hell yeah, let's do this.
So then we go up to Tennessee, and I'm like, sit on it. How'd that go?
It did not go whatsoever. For me, being a new rider, not being comfortable myself mounting the bike, that was something that I would never do or want to do or consider doing in public in front of somebody, because I didn't want to be the focus of, oh, that's a new rider and she doesn't know what she's doing.
Everybody has the fear of dropping the bike at the dealership, especially a new rider. You know, when I was looking at the Ninja 1000, there was a ZX6R, which is a sport bike, more aggressive, lower clip-ons and everything. And even though I'm, you know, 5'10", 220, when I sat on that bike, I was like, no, that's not comfortable. I'm not, no way, no way. You know, I was not ready for that. So I understand that. And I had the same fear too of, man, everybody's judging you. You know, you feel like everybody's secretly judging you when you're there to sit on the bike. But you know what? Like, it's the only way to know what's going to work for you is to go and to sit on them and to get comfortable and just kind of tell everybody else, just make them fade out of your mind and they're not even there. You know, that's the trick to that. But it's hard to overcome. And I think, you know, some people are probably better at it. And I think also as you ride and you get experience riding, you know, now you can go to a dealership. You don't feel as awkward, you know, so you're more apt to like.
But we got there because you took me to that dealership in Noonan.
Right.
Cycle
City, I believe it is.
Yes, Cycle City.
And so you sat on several bikes.
Yeah.
You know, the Rebel 500, the 300, and the 1100. Clint's been on the channel before. You know, he has the Sportster 883. We went over there. You sat on that. What'd you think of that one?
That bike was so heavy. It looked amazing, but it was a heavy bike. And even when I did hold the bike up, I felt overextended because, you know, again, I'm smaller framed. So I could feel it in my back. I could feel it in my arms when trying to reach the handlebars that, no, this is not going to be the best position for me riding. And that didn't even include my feet on the pegs, you know, so there's so much that comes into play. But when I had more miles under my belt and felt more comfortable and we went to that dealership in Noonan, I felt, okay, let's go sit on a few bikes, let's try this. And lo and behold, there's gonna be that one bike for somebody like me who wants to ride that you're gonna sit on it and you will instantly know this is the bike for me. So that particular bike, it was the Honda Rebel 500. ABS is what I'm looking for. Love that cobalt blue, have my heart set on it. So that's my next obstacle that I'm ready to overcome, have that bike, and at that point, nothing's stopping me.
I remember when you sat on Clint's Sportster, just seeing the reach on the handlebars for you, you know, I could tell right away, like, oh, like you mentioned, you know, you don't even have your feet on the pegs yet. So you're just sitting there holding the bike up and you can already feel that overextension.
Right.
You know, and that's something that when we were at the dealership and you sat on the Rebel, it just blew my mind how when you sat on that, you just looked comfortable. So it's like, you know, Honda really, I think, hit the nail on the head to make that bike approachable because you got off it and I was like, well, how am I going to feel on it? You know, because I'm almost a foot taller than you. And when I sat on it, I was like, oh, wow, this is a comfortable motorcycle. So for somebody who's 4'10" to jump up to somebody who's 5'10", 5'11", whatever I am, is amazing how one motorcycle can kind of
make all the difference.
Fit good within that range, you know, because the Papio CL, the white one that you've been riding that I bought, that thing is so uncomfortable for me. I don't like riding on it. I don't even know if I've put a mile on that bike. I think you and Dad have put, you know, Dad's probably put like 10 on it and everything else you've put on it. And even just when I ride it around the cul-de-sac out here, you know, I feel like a monkey on a circus bike. It's just my knees are up too high and, you know, it's just so weird. But the Rebel, on the other hand, you know, it being a full-size bike and everything, just the versatility for height and riders and stuff, you know. And again, that's just holding it. That's not even test riding it. You know, that's what we'll have to do next. Now that you got your license, you know, we'll have to hit up some demo days, get on different bikes, you know, let you get some more miles under your belt. Maybe hop on the CFMoto 700 and see how you like that bike because, you know, that's still a lighter bike too. But was there any other nervousness or things leading up to the MSF class before you got there? I know we had talked about other YouTubers. You guys are fully aware, you know, Blockhead's got good videos about teaching new riders how to ride. You know, there's several other channels out there that I suggested, you know, hey, watch this guy. Was there anything leading up to it that you were still anxious about or nervous about?
Figure eights for one, because we didn't really do the figure eights. They had removed the cones from the parking lot, so I hadn't navigated my way through the cones, hadn't made figure eights, but when we were out on the street, we did U-turns. at the smaller roundabouts, and that went well, I feel. But also being on such a larger, heavier bike, when they start you off in a 24-foot box and then they close it into 20 feet, that's challenging. And then for me on the larger bike, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but it's almost like your moves in comparison to what you would do on the smaller bike, you have to have more intent to make the bike go where you want it to go and do what you want it to do. So I found when the box was more narrow, my moves have to be more, how do I want to say it? You know, I noticed myself even counterbalancing, like changing my seat position, even on that Street 500, made all the difference on turning it so I can get it around, put the handlebars in full lock. I think preloading the throttle on that bike, I was noticing I was doing that as well, which I don't feel I've done it necessarily now riding the smaller bike. So there were things that had me nervous about it. I did drop the Street 500, you know, I think that's inevitable that that's going to happen, but it's not something you want to do going into the class. Because I'm a woman, I was scared I was going to be the only woman, and not only the only woman, but the shortest one in the class, you know, so that was something that I felt intimidated by. But of course there were other women there, and everybody I feel was supportive of me, you know, to ride at my own pace, not to feel rushed necessarily, and thinking, oh God, I've got to catch up with everybody. But that really helped me. Now, having dropped the Street 500, that happened when we get up to a certain speed and then have to make that emergency stop. All of that, well, let me back up a second. So with braking, you always taught me to use 2 fingers, so we're slightly, you know, we're not grabbing it, it's just a slow squeeze. And they said that they wanted your hands covering. Yeah, they have you start out with all 4, you know, me being me, I had held up my fingers and saying 2 because I didn't want to, being that all of this is muscle memory and it's programmed into you, I didn't feel comfortable having my whole hand, because I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna grab, and all this time I've been riding with that slow squeeze. So they said they wouldn't dock you points or anything like that, and you can ride with 2 fingers on that brake, and that's what I did, and I'm very thankful for that. Because going back to that course I was telling you about, when they want you to get up to speed in 2nd gear and then make that sudden stop, that is when all the weight of the bike, you know, for the first time, I felt it, and I knew the bike was going down. Even though the handlebars were straight, the bike was going down, and sure enough it did. That was my first experience with dropping it. And then coming from a tight turn, thinking I was straight and level, which, you know, that's happened to me before, when in actuality the handlebars were slightly turned and down the bike went. The fortunate side of that, I feel, is they use these moments as teachable moments, and for me, I did drop the bike towards the left and towards the right, so they taught me both ways to pick the bike up from those positions, which I have found very useful. But the biggest key is when you're actually taking that exam out on the course, you cannot drop the bike. No, you can't, yeah. But if you make a mistake, you know, my biggest thing is don't let it stop you or hinder you from continuing. Because when I made that a figure 8 in the 20-foot box, it was challenging for me. And after having dropped the bike, the only thing I could think of is in a full lock trying to turn it, I had the fear of dropping it again, you know? Right, yeah, once you experience that, it kind of lingers for a little bit, yeah. Yes, and you don't have that time to really develop that, I want to say, relationship with the bike, you know, that you feel. Because it is still, it's a 2-day class now. When I took it, it was 3 days, and it's still, you know, I felt you needed to experience the little bike before you went, because I rode my Lowrider ST before I went and took it, because I didn't realize how they're booked up so much. So if you guys are looking into booking up one, make sure you look at your dealerships that are near you and figure it out, because they stay booked up, especially during the summer. But yes, the class is
motivated to move through pretty quick.
Right.
You know, they still work with you,
Yes.
but you can kind of see, depending on the instructor, if there's that one person that's hung up, you know, because I experienced that in my class when I went, you know, you can kind of see the tone kind of shift, like they only want to give you 5 minutes, and if you go into 8 minutes, they're like, hey, I got all these other people here I got to worry about too. I can't give you that special treatment. So I mean, but it is still a good class, and they do work with you, but you can see it's fast paced. I hate saying fast paced because I don't want it to be over exaggerated as a fast pace, but they are there to get you through X amount of exercises and drills to get you ready for that class. So you not only don't have, like, you drop the bike, you know, it lingers and it's still there and you're still going, so you have to work through it, you know.
Right.
It can be, I think if you just went and never rode,
that would be a problem, because
it beats on you more.
Yeah, and unfortunately somebody was in that situation that came to the course. I would never recommend it. I was fortunate that I had you to say, hey, let's start riding together and teach me. And I had those miles under my belt, so I had something to build on. Because if you don't, and you're sitting on a bike for the first time and you can't balance the bike, hold the bike up, you're wobbly, you're out. Now with us, we did have people that didn't read the instructions, didn't see them, so they didn't have the proper gear, which, you know, I find that unfortunate, because kudos to Harley Davidson of Noonan. They made it very clear what you needed, you know, what was expected. The instructors are great. So we were fortunate to be 8. We dropped down, you know, we had 2 instructors that were phenomenal. They tell you what you were doing wrong, how to do it correctly, and also tell you when you're doing a good job. So it gives you that confidence, yet it offers the constructive criticism. So I know I can take, or apply rather, what I learned in class back out when we go on the street, you know, because I realize, hey, I might have been doing something not 100% right, you know, so now let's go out on the street and let's fix it.
Right. Well, speaking of street, why don't we gear up, go hop on the mini bikes, finish this up out on the road, and just take it out to the streets and out of this room, and let's go enjoy the day.
Yes, let's do this.
All right, you guys sit tight. We're going to put some gear on, get on the bikes, and we'll catch you back here in just a second. So we're back out on the bikes. We've got a little lost, went down a little dirt road. I know going from the bigger bike to the littler bike, you said, oh wow, it's like you almost forgot how the little bike works. So what are your thoughts after going from onto that big bike back onto the smaller bike?
Definitely trying to get more comfortable. Definitely trying to focus on the basics. Trust the bike. And then just apply what, you know, I've been doing, and just continue to do it and not overthink it, because then I get myself in trouble.
Right, so switching between one bike and another bike's not that bad, but it takes a minute to acclimate yourself. Yeah, readjust, get back used to it. So on that note, I mean, if somebody was to come up to you and ask about riding, what would you say to them?
I would say go for it. It's definitely worth it. Go at your own pace. Look at him coming over into our lane. Always be mindful when you're on the bike. I think that's one thing that you put in me as well, is, you know, you've got to be thinking, because what you're doing one bad decision and it's not going to be a good outcome. Do you know what I mean? So it's constantly remembering to check your mirrors, remembering to scan the road, look at other drivers, and be invisible, ride like you're invisible, and just relax and have fun. I think that's the biggest part of it, is to just have fun while you're doing it.
That's the trick, right? Is doing all those things, but still remembering to have fun while being safe, because that's the most important thing, is being safe. So I know you said your goal is to get you a Honda Rebel 500. Is that something that you want to get to just stick around and do local riding? Or, you know, I know you got animals like I do. Do you eventually want to do like a long trip, or just weekend enjoyment?
Eventually, I would love to be able to plan a trip out west and ride around Arizona, Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, New Mexico, even that area. I think there's some great land and great scenery out there. I know there's still more that I would love to be able to do, because for me personally, riding is the one time that I can get out of my head and stop thinking. Not that you stop thinking entirely, but you know, my mind is kind of constantly going like a Rolodex of thoughts, and it's nice just to be able to be present in the moment, because there's no way you can be on a bike and not be in that moment.
Right, just let everything else kind of fade away, and then just kind of soak in your surroundings, what you're seeing, what's going on. You know, you're still riding safe, but you're enjoying your scenery and everything, and forgetting about the Monday through Friday.
And I know for me the fun part too is, you know, when it's windy, I can start to feel myself being blown. And I guess that's kind of fun fact, I guess. There's been times where I thought I was gonna fly off because I was a kite on this bike. And then riding alongside an 18-wheeler for the first time, opposite direction that we were traveling. You know, so you're always gonna encounter something different. I think every ride is different. You get something out of every ride. But you know, for me, right now especially, after having been through my course and got my license, I need to be practicing as much as possible.
Yeah, it's always good to practice your slow maneuvers. That's something I need to do on the Indian, so I can get the Indian back out and ride it, because I haven't rode it in so long. You know, the weight and the size of that bike is something I myself got to get back used to riding too.
Yeah, it's an extremely heavy bike. I've ridden passenger on that bike and I absolutely love it.
I guess we'll end the video here. You know, we've had a lot of good talks, a lot of honesty, you know, a lot of real talk, a lot of things that you've thought about and words to share to your peers and people thinking about getting on and riding. And you know, I mean, once you do it, you're hooked. You know, I mean, you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. I want to thank you, Jennifer, for taking the time out of your day to help make the video and share your thoughts on riding. And if anybody's got any questions or comments, you know, y'all leave comments, questions, ask them down below. I'll let Jennifer know if they pop up and she can answer them. And go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that like button if you like the video. It helps the channel out a lot. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I would appreciate it, you know, if you like what you're seeing, like and share. Other than that, you guys stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you out on the next one.